I'll look at a business and say, hey, they're looking just about on the right track towards a good exit, rather
Yeah.
than 80% of businesses that go on sale don't sell.
Hmm.
80%. It is so sad. You're right.
Every business owner exits. The only question is whether you exit rich or regretful. If you don't have a planned and unplanned exit strategy, you're already behind. Welcome back to the Perpetual Growth Podcast, where we unpack the strategies, decisions, and mindset shifts that helps you to build real wealth, scale with intention, and exit on your terms. Now, quick ask, if this episode challenges your thinking or adds value, follow the show, share it with another business owner, and leave a review. It helps us bring in operators like today's guest. Because today we're talking about something most founders avoid: exits. Growth, scale, multiple 7 and 8 and 9 figure deals. Craig Keegan has executed and architected high-level M&A transactions across sectors with a specific focus on roll-ups, integrations, EBITDA expansion, and strategic exits. He helps founders build companies that buyers compete for. Craig says 3 things about himself. 1, he makes people 5 figures or saves them 5 figures in a single meeting. 2, his clients consistently say he delivers massive value. And 3, he solves problems, reduces expenses, and helps business owners build real exit wealth. Craig, welcome to the Perpetual Growth Podcast.
What an intro. Thank you so much, Zach. It is a pleasure to be here and to be around people like you and your other amazing guests. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm excited to dive in today, Craig. Let's start here. When you look at a business owner today, or any owners today, what's the biggest blind spot they have when it comes to exiting?
I think you hit it on the head in your intro. People don't think about exiting.
Mhm.
When should you think about exiting? Right now. When you buy a business, right now. There are multiple reasons for exiting, and everybody exits, whether you want to or not. And there's distressed exits, there's things that happen in your life. You need to plan for those as well. You can't just plan for the big exit at the end, but you should be planning for that as well. But you
Yeah, yeah.
can't just plan for that. So the biggest issue that they have is they don't start planning for it right now. And that's when
Mhm.
they need to do it.
Yeah. So I mean, not necessarily timing, not necessarily valuation, not necessarily structure or ego, but when do we start timing or start planning? And I would say, when would now be a good time, right? And this falls
Yeah.
into a kind of a unique. I don't know. I'll make this observation. If we look at small business owners across the United States, and we know there are a lot of small business owners, and not only in the United States but globally. One pattern that I've
Absolutely.
at least observed in the States is a very simple but very important and profound distinction. There's a big difference between a small business owner and a small business owner operator. Most small business owners are really small business operators that have really just bought themselves a full-time job. And until
Exactly.
that vehicle, that infrastructure, that engine is put in place where they can step away for a day, a week, a month at a time, a year at a time, and it continues to run without them, they're not really in a true ownership seat, which also means there's a certain degree of codependence on them being there, which also now minimizes the actual exit value. I mean, we have to have systems and structures in place. So, talk to the audience about that. Like, how, this is a really big question, but I mean, where do you start that conversation with them? How do you drive that insight? Where, I mean, I imagine that overwhelm is probably one word you start to hear a lot when they start thinking, oh my, you know, to, where does this
It
all
is.
begin?
The starting point is pretty simple, Zach, and it's not overwhelming.
Hmm.
People don't know how to fix their problems. Otherwise, they would fix them.
Yeah.
But they do have an insight as to what their problems may be, where
Hmm.
they're spending the most time, what's
Hmm.
costing them the most money. They don't
Hmm.
know the exact answer, but they've got an insight. There's the 80/20 rule, where 20% of your issues are causing you 80% of the grief, costing you 80% of your money.
Yes.
Just pick the biggest one that you can think of right now, and then get an architect, not Joe Blow down the street, but someone that knows how to do a business. Come in and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take the top one and the 20%, and we're going to put a systems in place, put a process in place, put a piece of AI tech in place, and we're going to eliminate that and solve that problem for you. Now, I've got a form that I use for this, and it's a pretty simple one. Tell me the top three things that you do every single day. I want to know who does it and how long it takes. Same question every week, same question every month. If you look at those and you get every employee, if you've got employees, to go through and do that, and then you compile them, you see where your time's going. You see what's really costing you money. And then go out, find a piece of tech, a piece of AI that can go in and fix those problems. And then do that same thing again in 4 or 5 months' time. And you will keep checking off that 20%. That 20% never disappears, by the way, because there's always 100%, isn't there?
Right. Yeah.
You keep
Yeah.
ticking
Just
those
gets
off.
marginalized. Yeah.
By the time you actually look back after a year, if you keep doing that, you're going to see your growth has started to happen. You're able to go away on holidays. You're able to
Yeah.
pick the kids up from school.
Hmm.
Things have changed for you. And most of all, from my side of things, I'll look at a business and say, hey, they're looking just about on the right track towards a good exit, rather
Yeah.
than 80% of businesses that go on sale don't sell.
Hmm.
80%.
So sad. Hmm.
It is so sad. You're right.
Hmm.
So that's the first one. And it's not difficult. It's not overwhelming. It is simple. Just write down what you do today, what you do each week, what you do each month, and then just work through them one by one by one. Don't make it hard. Don't make it complex.
Hmm. And
That's
there's
it.
great systems and tools to record those processes now today. I mean, making it simpler than ever. I mean, today we really do have no excuse. I mean, in the past it would have cost us more time, a bit more of that time investment, but that time invested is so well spent because it keeps us in that top 20% that you mentioned that actually have a saleable business at the end of that business's lifespan, or at least the owner's lifespan within the business, versus being stuck in that pool of where we've poured our life's blood and energy into something only to have an unsaleable product because it's dependent on that individual person. Now,
Yeah.
and one thing I'm curious about is you mentioned AI, you mentioned technologies, and I remember being a kid and like starting to play video games with my dad. I don't remember if it was like the original Nintendo or Super Nintendo or 64, and let's just say he gave up on many of those things pretty quickly. But as kids, we fell in love with those processes, and not to get into the dynamics of video games today versus then, but let's just say they were better for the mind. And but the one thing I remember thinking was, how does he not get this? How is it like he's become the old guy that can't figure out something that's just is so innate and natural to us. And now moving into, midlife-ish for me, I find myself asking some of those same questions in retrospect, going, am I falling behind in my own, technological prowess? I mean, especially as it pertains to AI. Let me ask it, all that to be said, maybe there's a better question here is there a particular tool? You've worked with so many businesses and so many business owners. I mean, I have to imagine you've become a bit of an expert when it comes to pattern recognition. So, is there a certain pattern? Is there a more common trend among the business owners you speak with, the place that they can start more often than not? Maybe not in every case, but they are, maybe expelling more of their time first. And what is one of the tool or potential tools that they might look at implementing now?
There are many tools out there, and those tools are
Yeah.
changing from month to month right now. AI is
Hmm.
so rapid.
Yeah.
It does, you can't wait for when the right tool is going to come out.
Yeah.
Do something.
Hmm.
Just do something. And
Hmm.
you know it's going to be replaced. It's like you put tires on your car. You know
Hmm.
you're going to wear them out and you're going to have to replace them later on. Just
Hmm.
do something. So,
Yeah.
is there a particular thing that you should focus on first? The
Hmm.
same thing you should always focus on, your customer.
Hmm.
Always focus on your customer. They're going to tell you what direction you should be going in at all times.
Hmm.
So focus on your customer, focus on what issues they're having, and they're having the issues with you. What
Yeah.
issues are they having with you? Fix
Yeah.
those issues.
So that's a really interesting insight and observation because one thing, again, one of the many dichotomies in business, at least I believe, is if we focus too much on the customer, then the bottom line can begin to suffer. But alternately, if you focus too much on the bottom line and the customer begins to suffer, somewhere we have to find a middle ground where we can maintain profitability, where it's not, where it doesn't become a race to the bottom. So I wholeheartedly agree with that thought process. And how at the same time do you recommend going about, how do you help the owners filter through and decide what is the most important thing that customer is relaying? What is the pattern that we need to recognize now? Because there's no shortage of feedback and problems, but most owners get stuck chasing one after the other, and we're trying to solve for the wrong things when we need to identify the biggest, first, most present opportunity. Is there a system, tool, strategy, resource? Where do you go there?
It is. It goes back to that form that I said about the what do you do on a day, week, and month. It
Mm-hmm.
goes back to that. Change the category. Change
Mm-hmm.
the category of that form to customer. What am I
Mm-hmm.
doing with the customer today? What am I doing with the customer on a weekday? You can change the focus of that form very easily to isolate for particular subjects. But the topic of your podcast is perpetual growth.
Mm-hmm.
So if you keep focusing on the customer and making it easier for them, yes, it's going to hit your bottom line with your current customer base. But
Mm-hmm.
with by making it easier for the customers to come on board and do business with you, you've got that perpetual growth. So your expenses are going to be lowered, your profit margin is going to be increased.
Yeah.
Just keep focusing on perpetual growth.
Yeah, phenomenal insight. I love your perspective on that. That is so simple, but so thoughtful and strategic. And I love how you
Can
brought
I
it full
can I
circle again.
just tell you something that I
Yeah,
paid $5,000 for?
yeah.
I did a real estate course long, long time ago in a galaxy far away. But this gentleman taught me one thing, and I came out of that weekend for this $5,000 course happy with this one thing. How do you sell something? You make it easy to buy.
Hmm.
Thank you very much, Rick Otten, for that word of
Yeah.
wisdom, those words of
Yeah.
wisdom. Rick Otten,
Yeah.
how do you sell something? You make it easy to buy. And
Hmm.
you are selling yourself. You're selling yourself to everybody, your partner, your family, your
Yeah.
customers, every single moment. And if you keep playing that, how do you sell something? You make it easy to buy. It will change your relationships with everybody.
Mm. I love that. There's power in a question. I mean, we ask better questions, we get better answers. And that is a phenomenal question. How do I make it easy? And you're right, too, because in so many cases, the more friction that we create up front, the greater the probability that we're never going to get the opportunity to engage and serve that customer to begin with. So
Mm.
that's such a powerful question and insight. How do I make it easy for the customer to buy? Great insight.
Can I tell you a really bad story
Oh, of course,
of
please.
what's happening out there right now? You've got your salaries happening, and your salaries in Australia, we have the most expensive salaries in the world. So let's say $30 an hour salary for doing a business. You bring in, if your competitor has those salaries and they bring in AI, they now need less people. So their total salaries, instead of $300 an hour for easy maths, they've now cut that down to $200. Whereas you've still got your $300 an hour for your salaries. They're competing at a third less than you. They need to make less money to be successful than you.
Hmm.
What they're doing now is those competitors of yours are lowering their prices below your cost value. So you can't compete anymore. If you compete, you can only compete for so long and the coffers are going to go empty because you're still doing it at 300. They're doing it at 200. You're going to go bankrupt. And then they're going to come in and take all your clients.
Yeah.
That is what is happening in this world today with AI. If you're not getting on the train, your competitors are reducing their costs, lowering their prices, and they're sending you out of business.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a
No,
horrible
it makes it,
story.
no, it's important though. I mean, this is why we have to be mindful of the tools that we have at our disposal in order to create leverage and greater scalability. It's like one of my clients right now. Um, they're in the coding and marketing industry. So I mean, they sell end-to-line production printers and ink, right? And so the owner always likes to say, we make sure you don't drink spoiled milk. It's anything from the lot codes to the expiration dates and so on. And this can be across all the way down to stuff that's printed on wood, virtually any material. And what's been a really interesting conversation with them is, for the longest time, they thought they were in the printer and ink business. And I kept asking that question, what business are we really in? And one of the things that the owner had gotten very stuck on was that, we need to maintain this certain level of profit margin with the printers, but they had started pricing themselves out of the market to where the sales volume had gone through a pretty dramatic decline. And the real business that they are in is distribution, ink distribution. That's what creates higher profit margins, MRR, ARR, everything. So by now reframing and shifting that leverage so we can now ramp up sales with printers to create more of the recurring revenue through the real gold mine being the actual ink, it completely shifts the business model. But it's another great example of that important interplay. Sometimes that leverage is new technologies to gain us back more time and be able to get better operating margins. And in some cases, it's a more global question where, what business are we really in? So all these things are very, very simple but important questions. Now, Craig, I want to
Yeah.
ask you, going back to business valuations and exits side of things, is what in your mind destroys valuation faster than anything?
Oh, that's easy. It's the founder.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's
Okay,
easy.
tell me more. Tell
Uh,
me more.
the the business being reliant upon the founder. The business, and I know this is something that you've done in your past, is building exceptional teams.
Mhm.
If the founder is not building exceptional teams and making themselves redundant by putting in great teams, great systems, great processes, and building up the team's credibility amongst the clients, that's where the biggest issues occur.
Mhm.
With every exit, be that through private equity, be that through general sale or partnerships, whatever it may be, every exit, the founder is the biggest problem because we don't, I know this sounds harsh. We don't want the founder. We want the business. And that's what they're paying for. They're not paying for the founder. They're paying for all the work that the founder put in, all the brains, the time, the effort that the founder put in to build a great business.
Yeah.
People, I was chatting with someone recently and they want to down in Houston and they're putting together a 50 dental practice roll-up. And this guy wanted me to come on board and consult for them. And he told me, he said, "Oh, we just bought this bankruptcy dental practice." And I said, "Oh," I said, "Okay, well, that's the first thing we've got to get rid of." He said,
Yeah.
"No," he said, "I got it really cheap." But it was bankrupt. It was
Yeah.
a fire sale. We don't want something like that. We
Yeah.
don't want a dog with fleas. We want
Right.
great businesses.
Yeah.
There's a reason for it being bankrupt,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it's the
Yeah. There's a lot
founder's
of
story.
yeah, a lot of holes in the boat to plug, right? Yeah.
And turnaround businesses like that take
Hmm.
time. Whereas
Yeah.
if you buy great businesses,
Hmm.
what do you have to do? You don't have to turn them around. They've got great clients, they've got infrastructure. All you need to do is to take your systems and processes, and maybe they're great systems and processes, and put them into your business, but blend them together so that they become a cohesive unit so that you can reduce their expenses. The biggest thing that I find with businesses is there's 14 pillars in every business. You've got the accounting, payroll, finance, HR, IT, AI, all of those pillars. Most businesses only operate about 8 pillars. And even then, they only do them to about 70%. There are
Hmm.
lots of gaps, lots of rooms for improvement in every business. What about yours, Zach? Because I'm going to stick my hand up as well.
Hmm.
That, yeah,
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I know. Well, and you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I that's one thing I talk about or speak too frequently. I mean, whether it's in a one-to-one or one-to-many type environment. I mean, the number one chokehold in any business is the psychology of its leader.
yeah,
That speaks to me. That speaks to any business owner in any particular industry. And it's the whole forest through the trees analogy. That's where I'm a firm believer in outside experts, consultants, mentors, coaching. I mean, nobody does it alone. And it's so important to have that guidance.
you can't. And
Hmm.
oh, I've got a coach. Well, good for you. That's
Yeah.
a great step forward. How
Yeah.
many coaches have you got?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for what
Exactly.
purpose?
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Very much. Hmm. Yep.
Because one coach is great for a particular purpose.
One field to
But
play. Hmm.
you might need a sales coach as an
Hmm.
example,
Hmm.
because your coach is good at getting into your head and giving you the architecture and working with you to build the architecture. But a sales coach is going to find those little tweaks, those little
Hmm.
half a percents that are going to really escalate things. Then you've got another coach for AI.
Hmm.
AI is huge. Where should you put AI?
Hmm.
Everywhere. Okay. But
Right.
where do I
Yeah.
start? How do I put it in?
Yeah.
There's 15,000 AI products out there right now. Which one's going to be good for me? You need a coach for so many different parts. You've just got to take your wallet out of your back pocket
Hmm.
and do it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well,
Perpetual growth. That's what you've got
it
to focus on.
100%. I'm a firm believer in this. I mean, in virtually every case, I mean, at least when we've taken the time to, and I even use the term time loosely because I don't want to, I'm a firm believer in decisiveness and not getting stuck in analysis paralysis. I mean, I would say indecision is still a decision. It's just not a good one, you know, but, finding the right coach, thinking about having coaches for different fields of play, both within your business, but also in your life, having an outstanding relationship coach and a health coach, and the list goes on. I mean, it
Mm,
works across context, and when you are asked the right questions, and in turn you respond with the right actions and activities, that's what will create exponential growth. It's a small investment, not a cost. It's not going down to Christian Louboutin and buying my wife a pair of red bottom shoes. That's a cost. It's in turn investing in something that I anticipate creating geometric returns because that person's been there and done the thing that I haven't been able to do yet. So they can help me to anticipate, skate to where the puck is going, make better decisions sooner, and also avoid costly decisions, which is very, very important and profound. There was something else you said in the conversation that I wanted to illustrate through a real estate metaphor. It was pertaining to real estate. If it comes back to me, it comes back to me. For now,
well,
I'm going to let it
coaches
sit.
expire, Zach, as well.
Hmm. Oh, very much. We
The-
outgrow them. Hmm.
We outgrow them. They
Hmm.
have the mindset to take you from zero to a million is
Hmm.
different from 1 million to 10 million, 10 million to
Hmm.
100 million.
Yes, it
So
is.
you need to cater for your coaches there. But
Hmm.
building your team, for example, I'm doing dental roll-ups. So exit in 4 years, about 136 million. Now, the issue is I have never done an exit as such. I've worked on the acquisitions, I've done the integration, but the nine-figure exit like that, I have not done that. What have I got? I've gone and got the right person that doesn't even get out of bed in the
Hmm.
mornings unless he gets $1 million in his pocket to do an exit.
Yeah.
It's the right person for the right job, the right team member at the right time.
Right.
Now, I've been, I'm not going to be using him for 4 years,
Sure.
but that relationship has started to blend. We're building that relationship, we're building that understanding. Start early with your relationships as well, because you want to make sure that you've got the right people around you at the right time.
Yeah. Who, not how. Very important principle. One
Mm.
interesting question for me, I mean, as it pertains to the exits. I mean, if somebody wants a big exit, what must be true about their EBITDA, their systems, and their leadership?
Well, le- let's start. Let's start with a little bit of maths.
Yes.
The If you've got a business and you go off, and I'm a great believer in forensic accountants, getting them to go and do all the hard work, figure out all the maths, and coming back with the EBITDA, coming back with the valuation, etc. So
Hmm.
you've got a business that's valued at 1 million. That's my business. My question, the question I answer is, how can I make that worth 4, 5, 8 million?
Hmm.
That's ridiculous. My business is
Hmm.
only worth 1 million. You can't
Hmm.
do that. No,
Yeah.
you can't do that. The question is, how do I do that?
Yeah.
Well, what I do is, again, with the coaching, you can't do it alone.
Hmm.
Your business, I'm sorry to say, is not unique. I don't know what your business is right now, but your business is not unique.
Hmm.
There's other businesses out there.
Yep.
Let's put 2, 4, 5, 10 of them together. Now we've got scale happening.
Hmm.
So each of those businesses is only worth 1 million by themselves. But if I put 10 of them together, it's not worth 10 million. Now it's worth 50 million. Why? Scarcity. Because private equity, I'm sorry to say, it is in our world. It
Hmm.
is, there's $19.2 trillion of private equity funds out there right now, sitting there waiting to be used.
Yeah.
That was a big T, by the way, trillion,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
billion.
That's a massive number.
They're looking for things to buy, and they're going to be buying something, and they have to turn it over and return the money back to the investors within 5 years.
Wow.
So they need to buy stuff. They don't want to go and buy your $1 million business. However, if you've got 10 of your businesses together, that's 10 million or $50 million that they can spend. And then what they're going to do is they'll go looking for another five of those. So
Mhm.
instead of 10, they've now got 50. Now they've got a $250 million business, haven't they?
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
$300 million business. Ego. Get rid of your ego. Go looking for partnerships. Try and figure out, work with people to put these together, integrate them. For a business to buy your business, it is going to cost them 2.5% of the valuation of your business to do the due diligence. And that's if you just sell your $1 million business.
Hmm.
For them to onboard your business into theirs, it's going to cost another 2.5%. So for someone to acquire your business, that's a 5% capital investment on top of the $1 million that they've got to pay. How can you make it easier for them to buy? Remember, how do you sell something? You make it easy to buy.
Hmm.
Reduce that 5%. How are you going to reduce that 5%? Better systems, better processes, better documentation. Start preparing now. Prepare all that documentation. All the questions that they're going to ask you for the due diligence, get it all organized now. It's going to structure your business not for tax purposes, but structure your business for an exit. Then you're sitting down, you're going to love this bit. I don't want when I do roll ups, as an example, I don't sell your business once to the private equity because what they're going to ask you to do is they want you to stick around for a little bit longer, 2 to 3 years. They don't want to pay you 100% of the value of, remember your $1 million business, we've now made it four. They don't want to give you $4 million in your back pocket initially. They only want to give you 3 million, which is still pretty good, by the way, because remember you only had a $1 million business. So they only want to give you
Right.
3 million
Yeah.
in your back pocket. They want to keep a million in their business
Hmm.
to motivate you because they want you to stay there and they want you to work hard. Because remember, they're finding these other five businesses as well that they want to bring on board and they want to sell that later on.
Mm. Okay.
So
Yeah.
that
Now I see
$1
the
million,
interplay of the
dollars, by
M&A.
the
Hmm.
way,
Hmm.
that you've left in there in 4 to 5 years, that $1 million is going to be worth about 6 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
So instead of you selling your business for 1 million, you're probably going to sell it for 10 million by
Yeah.
using this strategy. That's
Yeah.
growth.
That's brilliant. I mean, that makes so much sense. It comes back to an interesting principle I learned a long time ago, which speaks to some of the earlier points in the conversation, which is, most business owners have a tendency to fall in love with their product or service. What we really need to do is fall in love with our ideal customer. And I guess how that ties to what you were just saying relative to mergers and acquisitions, it's if we let go of the idea of what our business is and or could or should be, and drop that identity and allow other experts to guide us into what these other complementary M&A opportunities look like. And that's how we can create a many multiple return and better experience for the customers. I mean, that's a very simple but profound insight. Thank you for sharing that.
How much
One,
does Jeff Bezos own of Amazon? How much
right,
does Elon Musk own of his company?
right,
Less than 20%.
right. Yeah,
Just
yeah,
give it up. Be
yeah,
free. Get the
yeah,
professionals in
yeah.
to build and take your business to the next level.
Well, this is a
Now,
great question then. I mean, Craig, why, or maybe where do founders struggle emotionally with exits?
that's the best question. And that's why when I talk with a founder, the very first conversation, I never talk about valuations or EBITDA or anything like that. The question I always want to know the answer to is, so tell me, you've done your huge exit, your big exit. It's 2 years down the track. It's Monday morning. It's 9 a.m. Describe your day for me, please. Tell me what you're doing. Are you out on the golf course? Are you out on a... What are you doing? Go into depth and explain to me how your Monday is, please. That's where I start. And that's where we end. Because from that moment on, everything we're focused on is that Monday morning and where they're going. Now, I've got to tell you, in an hour's time, I'm doing a podcast with one of the premier entrepreneurs in New Zealand.
Hmm,
She has done multiple big exits,
hmm.
and I've already interviewed her once before, and she explained how she fell into a rut and a state of depression after her first big exit.
Identity
And she
collapse.
said, I threw money at different I had lots of money. She said I threw money at different ideas and different businesses. She said I lost massive amounts of money through that. She said I just didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't have a
Hmm,
plan.
hmm, hmm.
And now, of course, that was the first big exit. She's done a couple
Yeah,
since then.
yeah.
But now it's always been that she's been focused on that Monday morning
Hmm. Well, it's
because
so important
that's,
though, because it's no different than a professional athlete ending their career or an astronaut that's gone to the moon and now they're back on Earth. And so much of the identity becomes tied to the thing that we have built and created. And we have to realize that we are a separate entity from that business. It's not who we are. And what's an
yeah,
important element to that is, to your point, is what are the targets? The fuzzy targets don't get hit. If we don't have absolute clarity on what life we want to design after the business and how we want to continue to live that life and where we're going to contribute, we're just going to go sit on the yacht all day and drink Mai Tais and martinis and until we're, bored to death and suntanned or sunburned, or, where can we continue to grow and evolve? And it's
yes,
never the end. It's just the next step in the journey, but we got to get clear about what that looks like. And don't get me wrong, take some time to go out in the yacht if you want to. You earned it. But
yes,
also find that
absolutely.
next vehicle, right? I mean, tell me how do you help in that context? I mean, that's a important piece. And maybe that is the main piece, it sounds like.
It
But
is
I
the
was going
main
to ask,
piece. Yes.
okay, so yeah, I was always curious, man, how do people mentally prepare for selling something they built? But you just said it in very simple terms, and it's very simple but very profound. And it's the exercise that most people don't take the time to do. And this pertains to even when we're growing a business, if you don't have clarity on the target, the end goal, the destination, and also important, equally as important, the why, the drivers. I mean, what is this actually going to do for you and your life and service and contribution? I mean, then you're not going to have the drive to get to the destination, and you can't get to a destination that you've never defined.
You can set up all your plans that you like,
Yeah.
but I've been doing project work for what, 35 years now. Only once has a project ever come in on time, on budget, on the exact, it's just worked perfectly. Only
Yeah.
once has that ever happened to me. And it'll never happen again. It was a fluke, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Right.
But you've got to have the destination. It's like
Mhm.
you've got to be a pilot, really. You've got to
Mhm.
get to that destination eventually.
Mhm.
There's going to be a lot of correct course corrections,
Mhm.
but stay focused on your destination.
Yeah.
And we go back to the coaching as well.
Mhm.
When you're doing an exit, your exit strategist
Mhm.
is also your coach. They've got to keep
Yeah.
you focused on what you're aiming at, where you're going to be. I spoke with a business broker and I said, so tell me, I said, tell me about a client of yours that you've 2 years ago, that you had 2 years ago. What are they doing today? She said, I don't know. She said, I sold their business. That's it. They're done. So I've got a little red notebook that I keep the people that I never want to deal with ever again in over here on my left screen. Her name is etched in that red notebook now because they are not the people that I want to be dealing with.
Yeah. I can hear why. That makes complete sense.
Just you may as well just drive a stake through my heart with that
Hmm.
sort of comment. But
Hmm.
no, you need that coach all the way
Yeah.
through. And
Hmm.
people, oh, I don't need coaches. Well, change the word then, okay? I don't care what you call it. But
Right.
you
A
can't do it
guide.
yourself. You needed a
Yeah.
coach to stand up when you were learning to walk. You needed a coach when you went to school. You needed a coach with everything that you've done in life. Just
Hmm.
get over it and get yourself a coach.
Yeah. Oh, I wholeheartedly agree in every single context, across context, on every field of play, every compartment of life. We have to have coaches, mentors, guides here. So, I mean, somebody that's been there, done that thing, so that we can get to that same result much faster, condense their decades of experience into days, and equally as important,
Yeah.
avoid the costly mistakes. In
You've
business, it
got
can
no.
cost you a lot of money. In life, it can cost you relationships or health.
Mm.
In every department, we have to have that guide. Craig, 20 years from now, when founders talk about your work, and I heard the underlying message when you talked about the notebook, but I want to hear the I want to hear Craig's version now. I mean, and when founders talk about your work 20 years from now, what do you hope they will say that you helped them achieve?
I've got two things before I give you a full answer on that one.
Please, please.
My coach taught me that your reputation is what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty impressive. So I
Yeah.
think that's quite relevant to this.
Yes, it
I
is.
was out at a business meeting, strategy meeting yesterday, and someone said to me, Craig, the thing about you is your integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's she she says you always have such integrity. And I really appreciated that. That was just meant so much to me. So what will they say about me? Hopefully, I keep to something that someone said to me on a podcast once when I went through that strategy of how we do things. They said,
Yeah.
so really, you're the dream maker, aren't you? You make the employees' dreams come true because you give them opportunities. You make the founders' dreams come true because you give them generational change, wealth. You make the private equities and their investors' dreams come true as well. So I'll just stick with being the dream maker. That's what I hope they say about me.
I love that. As we wrap up today's episode, Craig, if someone wants to prepare for their big exit, instead of hoping for one, I would say hope's not a strategy. Right? Where should we start? We know that first and foremost, they got to get the systems in place, and it doesn't we don't have to overcomplicate it. Just start documenting everything that you do in each aspect of
Yes.
business. sales, marketing, leadership, operations, infrastructure across the board. And then second, you also talked about we need to ensure that after we're preparing for after the exit, what is that destination? What does life look like for us at that point? Get very clear because those fuzzy targets don't get hit. We don't want to meander. We want to pinpoint that destination. Is there anything else that you would add to that as one final closing tip?
Think bigger, dream bigger, because you can't do this alone, and
Yeah,
you are stronger, worth more together.
yeah, absolutely. Wholeheartedly agree. Um, the universe, God, whatever your belief system, has a funny way of conspiring for us when we have when we give ourselves the permission, the opportunity to let that childlike dreamer come out. I think there's a absolute bliss in that opportunity. Now, Craig, for our listeners, where can they get in touch with you? I mean, I am certain that somebody is going to think this. I need to speak with Craig Keegan today. How can they get in touch with you? Where are the best places? What?
The best place for me is always on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
am always on LinkedIn, always working there. So Craig Keegan on LinkedIn, I'm there and we can catch up. I'm in Australia, so I also live in the future. It
Yeah.
is tomorrow here for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, catch up. Let's find out what we can do. I work all around the world. I've got things happening in Dallas, Houston, London, Auckland. It's all around the world. So it doesn't matter where you are.
That's amazing. Well, I absolutely appreciate that, as I'm sure our listeners will. And I'll make sure that we put your LinkedIn contact in the show notes so that they have no trouble finding you. Now, for our listeners, you guys got to remember, every business owner exits. The difference between an average exit and a generational one isn't luck. It's structure, it's timing, it's preparation. Now, if today's episode shifted how you think about growth, share it with another founder who needs to hear it because growth isn't just about building something. It's about building something that can outlive you. So until next time, keep building, keep scaling, and make sure you exit on your own terms. And remember, growth doesn't happen by chance, it happens by choice. We'll see you next time.